Hello everybody and welcome to our virtual campus tour. My name is Lauren and I'm a recent graduate of the university. I studied sport and exercise science and we'll be taking you around some of our key campuses and key facilities today to help get you an insight into what studying at Worcester is like. I'll also be joined by some other recent graduates and some of our current students who will be here to give you an insight into what life is like as a student at Worcester, and they'll also be able to talk about some of the campuses and facilities that we have available. So I will be joined by some of our students in just a moment's time, but first we go over to Amy, who will take us on a tour of the St John's campus.
Hello, I'm Amy and we are just outside our main reception on the St John's campus. This is right in the centre of the campus, and nearby we have First Point, which is home to our student services and support teams. They are here to help with all student queries. We're going to take a walk now through the campus to show you some of the places where our students hang out and study. We have several cafes on this campus and our main dining hall around the corner, which is open throughout the day for breakfast, lunch and dinner. There are plenty of great meal deals in most outlets on campus for hot and cold, freshly made food. We also offer a click and collect service too, so it's great if you're in a rush. We have plenty of outdoor spaces to meet during breaks. This is the perfect spot for bringing your lunch and to get some fresh air in between lectures. It's important to us that you enjoy your downtime during your studies. If you're interested in sports, societies or just getting to know people, the Students' Union can help. The Students' Union is led by 3 officers who are elected by our students each year, so they have everyone's best interests in mind. Let's take a walk through. So now I'm stood upstairs in the hangar, which is where our bar is. Downstairs we have a campus shop, a cafe and plenty of meeting spaces for students. The Students' Union is a really chilled out space to hang out with your fellow students, either in the day or at night. The halls of residence on the St John's campus are only a few minutes away from our teaching spaces. Everything on this campus is really close by, creating a community feel for our students. This is where our biggest selection of halls are, but we do also have plenty of university managed houses in the surrounding area and some accommodation at our city campus. You'll be able to see inside some of our ensuite extra flats later on.
So that's recent graduate Amy, who will be joining us later today, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight to studying at the St John's campus. But I'm now joined by 2 of our students. So I'm joined by Amber, who is an English literature student, and Talis, who is a creative writing and screenwriting student. And they are the guys that are studying on campus, so they can tell you exactly what life is like at the St John's campus. So I've got some questions for you both, just to kind of like find out exactly what it's like. So the first question, if we go to you, Amber, first, potentially, is what is the biggest difference between school and college and university, and what was your journey like?
My journey was I went from doing my A-levels at Worcester Sixth Form, and then I took a couple of years out and did an apprenticeship and worked for a couple of years and then went on to go to university. So it's gone from having a work day to figuring out how to schedule your own time instead of a 9-to-5 schedule.
And Talis, how was your journey, and what did you find the biggest difference to be? Was it slightly different to Amber?
I did have a slightly different journey because I was in Australia for high school and for sixth form. So once I graduated and I moved back to the UK, I spent a couple of years sort of working, saving up money before I came to uni, similar to Amber. But most of the difference I found is that like the assessments and the way you're taught is like tailored to what you're doing, whereas in sort of high school and sixth form it's very rigid and this is what each subject is, sort of thing, which is nice.
Yeah, and Amber, I wonder if perhaps going into work before you came to university did help with that kind of independent managing time and getting you into lectures, really. Imagine if you come straight out of school and gone into university, it would have been slightly different, but...
Yeah, I think it would have been slightly different because like having to work your own work day and schedule what you do, it kind of like helped tailor like when your study time is, when your downtime is at uni, and like working like that?
Yeah, I came straight from sixth form, and I did find it a big jump all of a sudden being in really structured days. So 6 lessons a day, you know, when your lunch break is scheduled and all those kind of things, and then all of a sudden being in lectures and seminars. And perhaps we should talk about that in a little bit more detail as well, because I found that to be one of the biggest differences, is going from your lessons, all of a sudden it was all broken down into lectures, seminars. Talis, perhaps if we have a quick chat about lectures and seminars, and what did you prefer when you came to university, and what is the difference?
Well, I think I had an interesting experience with lectures and seminars, because like initially they were fairly separate, but because of the way my creative writing degree works, I found out that putting them together tended to work better, having like a back and forth between the sort of more stand-up talking to us and the workshopping. Ended up working quite well as like as a mix. But I really like both of them. They both work quite well.
So I think while we are talking, we will get to see one of our seminar rooms on the St John's campus. So Amber, what is studying on campus in the lecture rooms like for you?
Well, ours usually consist of a 1-hour lecture, then we have a break, go out and get a drink, and then we've got a 2-hour seminar, which I quite like seminars like Talis. They're great with assignment briefings and preps and workshops, and good for bouncing ideas off with like creative writing degrees.
Yeah, I felt a bit like that as well in terms of, I like the lecture. The structure for me on sports was I'd go to a lecture and I'd learn a little bit of theory. We'd go away and use some of the facilities, which we'll see later on this morning as well. But then we joined together for a seminar where we'd apply the theory from the lecture to the practical, and that was a really good way for me to learn. I found much better than just being, you know, having information thrown at you in a lesson, so to speak. But Amber, you commuted to university, so I imagine that you spent more time on campus in between your lectures. What did your day look like, and how did you spend your time on campus?
So I usually plan like my day out beforehand, so I commute in, I drive, so I have a car parking permit for the uni, which you can get from First Point, which has been invaluable. And in between lectures, I'd either go to the Pearson Centre and do some studying, and then go to the SU with my friends.
Yeah, so we'll talk about those places in a bit more depth, I think. But Talis, you live in Worcester, don't you, in student accommodation. So how do you spend time in between lectures? What does your day look like?
I mean, when it's not 2020, there's lots of really lovely cafes in Worcester. There's really nice walks to go on. If I need to study, then I can walk into St John's campus and go to the Pearson building. Or if I want to stick to city campus, I can go to the Hive. It's like a really nice area to be around if you want to get work done or if you want to take a break. It's nice.
Oh no, absolutely. I remember spending quite a lot of time in Pearson Study Centre as well, and it was quite valuable having it right on campus. Yeah. But you also mentioned the Students' Union, so we're taking a look at Pearson Study Centre just now as well. How did you guys use this facility? So for me, it was kind of all the different study spaces, but having it right on campus. Amber, how often did you spend here?
I spend, because I'm on campus 3 days a week, so I'm in Pearson like 2-3 times a week, and I go in between lessons and prior to things, you know, if I've got some like seminar work that I need to do just before the lesson.
And Talis, how do you spend much time in Pearson Study and Guidance Centre, or?
Yeah, especially in first year when I lived on campus, but even in second and third year, like there were a couple of times I've pulled all-nighters in the Pearson building, which is good because it's open the entire night. So
that is one good thing about it, actually. I never really think I fully understood the full benefit of a 24-hour library until I came to university, but it is really handy. So I'm not sure how it was for you, but on my sports degree as well, it was quite varied in the assessment methods that we took. So we'd have some written assignments, we'd have some group presentations, but that's why Pearson was great, because you have kind of like your silent study area if you want to go and focus on your assignment, or there's kind of group areas where you can go and, you know, look at a big TV screen while you're preparing a presentation. But so I find it really useful for it to be right there. So we also mentioned the Students' Union is a great place to go and hang out in between lectures as well. There's the campus shop, you've got the hangar bar, but then you've also got the spaces where you can go and hang out with friends, and you can go and speak with the Students' Union officers. So could you maybe tell us a little bit more about the Students' Union and what you can get involved in there?
Well, there's lots of societies. We this year, a group of creative writing students and I, created a poetry society, which was an interesting process to get involved in, and now it's like fully set up, and we have members, and we like host events and stuff every week. And so that process, and everyone in the student union is so nice and makes it really easy to do. Like something that seems quite difficult and like there's lots of red tape actually becomes very easy. And there's loads of different societies you can get involved in, from sports to niche interests to anything else in between. It's really fun.
I was part of the Netball Society and I had so much fun. It was not just playing the sport, but also all the people you meet that are different kind of from the people you meet on your course, and getting involved in the social side of things as well. But Amber, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your student union experiences as well, and the things you can get involved in.
I work alongside the international department as well, and we ran an event last year where we had a karaoke night with all the international students. And so it was a great way of getting people to integrate, and people were doing karaoke in their own languages, and it was a pretty cool night.
There really is something that goes on every single day there as well. And there's the board when you walk into the Student Union that tells you what's coming up in the next few weeks. And probably the most exciting time is Welcome Week. How was that, Talis? Could you tell us a little bit more about how you found Welcome Week and how it is settling into university?
Yeah, I'm sort of quite an anxious person, so for the first sort of couple of days of Welcome Week I sort of kept to my little accommodation flat and hid away and was very anxious and stressed about it. And then on about sort of Tuesday or Wednesday, once my flatmates sort of convinced me to get involved in stuff, I ended up having like a really nice time, and everyone's so welcoming and all the activities are so like varied and interesting that it becomes very easy to quickly settle in, and I ended up like really enjoying myself.
Now, Amber, you commute to university, so you live locally, and I think there is a worry that sometimes when you commute that you might miss out on the on-campus experience and the experience that you get from living in university accommodation. How did you find the experience commuting to university?
It hasn't been too bad because I already live in Worcester. I live locally, so I already have experience of the nightlife and that. In my first year, obviously, like not now, but I stayed over friends' houses overnight on a Wednesday for socials nights, and we've done that like that, so I don't feel like I've really missed out on anything.
Yeah, I had friends who did the same, and they commuted, and you know they stayed in our flats, and you know they were still able to enjoy everything that went on during Welcome Week and all the social activities that go alongside that. But tell us, maybe if we hop over to you stayed in halls of accommodation. So what was the experience like living on campus? So not just studying here, but actually living on campus.
It was very helpful having everything so close, like the Pearson building, being able to just, if I was doing an assignment at 10 p.m. and if my flatmates were having like a social event or something, then all I had to do was walk a couple metres to get to the Pearson building and do my work in peace and quiet. But like, it's really lovely. It's like such a community to be around in, and it won't just be limited to your flat. Like we knew the people in the flat across from us, the flats above us, flats in different buildings. Like everyone's really friendly, and the laundry being available all the time, great.
I think you're right as well. It's actually really nice just being like really close to everything, and Amber, you probably have the same as well. If you live locally, the university is such a big part of the city that you know everywhere you go, you feel you are part of the campus. And it's worth noting as well that the campuses are all within walking distance of each other. A lot of the city centre facilities are within walking distance as well. So it's a really nice blend actually. Tell us. Just going back to accommodation as well, when you moved out of your halls on campus, did you move into student accommodation? And whereabouts was that? And did you still feel part of the university as well?
Yeah, so I live in a little one-person flat in the middle of town, fairly close to the Jenny Lind building, which is where most of my lectures are, which is fantastic. It's literally like a 3-minute walk. And I really love it. Like, I love my flat. I love how close it is to the uni facilities. I love how close it is to the rest of town. I really love living on my own. Like, if you're the kind of person like me who is very independent, I think it is worth it to have that first year in accommodation with lots of people. I think it's a good life experience. And it prepared me even better, I think, for living alone, which I'm really enjoying.
No, that's great. I think also a worry for me was when I moved into accommodation is at home, most of the stuff is sorted for me, which it sounds a bit rubbish, sorry Mom, but it was really nice because things like your internet and all your bills were sorted, and you had things like contents insurance, and in your first year you also get your gym membership free as well, and I kind of regret that now. I wish I used it a little bit more, but it was great that that was right on campus, and you can use all those facilities. But yeah, it's been great speaking with you both, and I think now we'll head back over to Amy, who will take us on another tour of St John's campus, part 2.
Welcome back to the campus tour, and this time I'm back in main reception, but we're going to take a walk in the opposite direction. This is the Edward Elgar building and is where most of the teaching spaces are on this campus. We have plenty of large lecture theatres and seminar rooms to cater for a variety of different class sizes. So I'm now here in the university's Geo Garden. This is a great place to come and sit outside, grab lunch and also meet your friends. There's plenty to see around here, including a 350 million year old fossil feature. It is also used by our School of Science and the Environment students. So behind me here we have the Charles Darwin building, which is where some of our specialist science labs are based. This is also where the National Pollen Forecast is produced in partnership with the Met Office. This is the Sheila Scott building, also known as our Clinical Skills and Simulation Centre, which is used by courses such as nursing, midwifery, paramedic science, physiotherapy and occupational therapy. Rooms are designed to replicate hospital, therapy and home environments for training that reflects real life. The centre provides state-of-the-art simulation opportunities for students through a range of real-life simulations to allow them to practice clinical decision-making and leadership skills. We have a fully equipped ambulance to teach paramedics crucial skills while stationary and on the move. We also have SimMan, an electronic man with over 2,500 irregular heartbeats and can suffer from thousands of ailments, perfect for testing quick decision-making skills. So that brings us to the end of our tour around our St John's campus, but join us back a little bit later in the session for a tour of our city campus.
So hopefully that gives you more of an insight into our St John's campus, and I am now joined by some of our recent graduates, Sophie and James, and we will talk about some of the facilities that we just saw in the video there, plus some of the other campuses that we have that relate to the different courses. So perhaps first if we just have a quick look at the Charles Darwin building. Now we do have a specific video for this, I believe. Great, so you can see here our these are our science labs, which are in the Charles Darwin building, and these are for our biological science courses and medical courses as well at the moment. And as you can see, kind of their specialist facilities for those students that you can access. And we'll also just take a quick look at the Sheila Scott building as well, where you can see the clinical skills labs. Great, so these are state-of-the-art facilities which are tailored towards our nursing and midwifery courses and our allied health courses. We do have a number of rooms set up to simulate kind of the working environment, but so that you can learn as a student as well. So these are great facilities, and probably my first question for you, I know both of you, so Sophie, you studied a sports degree and then James, you studied a business degree, but how important is it to you to have those specialist facilities for you to learn? So Sophie, maybe if I go over to you first, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. So they were great to use to help embed like your learning after you've been in your lectures. They were great to then break down to your seminar groups and go and practice whatever you've learnt through practical, because that's why I did sport. I love practical stuff.
I think that's what's quite nice about the specialist facilities we have as well, is that they suit every need. So if you like writing, we've got nice silent spaces on campus, but if you're a practical person, you can actually go and book out the facilities to use them in your own time as well as in lectures as well. And I think that was a benefit for me. So James, perhaps if we have a quick talk about the facilities as well. For you on your course, how important was it for you to be able to access facilities regularly?
It was very important, and I think probably the main facility I used on St John's was the Pearson Study Centre, which was a great facility, especially it's got sort of teamwork areas there, because there was a lot of group projects on my course, doing group presentations, putting pictures together, that kind of thing. So it was a great space to do that, meet up with people. There was obviously space like that at the Hive as well, which could be accessed for most of the day. Pearson, on the other hand, could be accessed sort of 24/7. So there were great facilities just to work on your own, work with other people, and yeah, I was really grateful to have that, and just such a stone throw away from sort of where I was living as well, because I lived on St John's as well. So these things were a short walk away, which was great. And I went to other unis, and some were further apart, some were closer. It's just whatever you're looking for, really.
That was absolutely key for me. Not that I'm lazy, but I quite liked how close everything was together and you can easily access things. James, perhaps if we just have a quick conversation. You mentioned Pearson Study Centre there as well, and we saw in one of our videos, we've also got First Point there as well, which we always say is your first point of contact as a student. But are you able to tell us about some of the facilities there and why it's important for students on campus?
I think it's perfect to have a facility like that which can be so sort of clearly accessed, and it's quite, you know, a short walk away from where you're living on campus or wherever you're commuting in, and you can access those facilities by just going up to someone in the centre, or phone, email. I think, you know, they have social media as well where you can get in contact, and I think that's really valuable to students, just to always know, as I say, the first point of contact is first point, and just always kind of having that there. Yeah.
I'm sure Amy covered it in the video, but first point is, as James said, first point of contact for students, but it's where our student services are based as well. So for any student needs, you can pop in and have a conversation with somebody, and they always have an answer, I find, which is super helpful. So Sophie, maybe if we talk a little about the facilities that you accessed on your degree. So I also studied a sport degree, so I imagine we have some similar experiences. So we can take a look at our 3G AstroTurf, just as one of the facilities that we have on campus, and we'll also take a look at Lakeside and the arena as well. Can you tell us about the experiences that you had on your degree with these facilities?
Yeah, so it was quite nice that I had access to all of them. Really grateful for that. But also, like, with the arena, it was a great space where we could, like, invite students up and have, like, sport open days, working with the local SEND children, and it was just a great way to get more experience, always preparing me for the next thing after I'm studying.
I think the nice thing with the 3G AstroTurf is not just the fact that it's state of the art, but also how much takes place there as well. So some days you'll see kind of the rugby team training there, you'll see the football team, other sports teams training there, but then actually you get to use it for lectures as well. I think in one of my inclusive sport modules, we learn how to play blind football on the Astro as well, and it's those experiences that are really valuable. Shall we talk about Lakeside as well? I know we've just seen a clip there, but that is where Worcester is situated. It's kind of a nice, it's city-based, but then also you get all the rural advantages, and there's nice walks, and I think that's what our Lakeside campus is. Could you tell us, like, a little bit more about what you got up to there on your degree? Yeah,
so I had quite a few lectures up there. At the start of the year, that would be where we'd go and do, like, our team building activities, which was great because I love the people on my course. We built, like, a really strong bond. Also, I did my outdoor adventure module up there, so we did things like orienteering, and we actually got to go on the lake as well and do, like, canoeing and stuff like that. So it is a really good facility to have.
James, you've also been to Lakeside campus as well, haven't you? It's not necessarily just for sports students or for outdoor activity students, but it's used as a team building activity base, as Sophie just said. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've got up to there as well?
Yeah, I've used it. I've been on sort of like team away days there and etc. My experiences there they're good ones. It's a good space for lots of outdoor activities. I've ended up in the lake before. You know, my balance isn't as good in a canoe as what I thought it was, and it's not, you know, a very deep lake. It goes up to your waist, but there's lots of just space there to do lots of different activities, whether it's on the water, in my case, or outside. There's kind of like archery, and there's other team building activities like raft building and things like that, which is really good fun, and you just hope your raft stays together, which ours didn't. I ended up in the water again. So as you can tell, it doesn't sound like a good experience at the Lakeside, but it's a great space, especially like for people like Sophie, sports students, just to have that, people that do outdoor education as well. So I had friends that were teachers and worked a lot in those kind of areas and used that space as well. So it wasn't directly related to my course, but it's great to know there was just space out there to do that.
No, it is great. I think we've all had a go at the raft building now, and I don't know if either of you have successfully built the raft, but it is so much fun. And
I don't like knots.
I know. I kind of like to have another go, but not in this weather, but maybe in the summertime. Perhaps if we talk next about the arena. So the Worcester Arena is brilliant. It's an inclusive sports arena. It's also a 2,000-seater sports stadium as well. But then also it's just readily available for sports students, just for practicals, to go down and learn in lectures. There's lots of facilities there, like the S&C suites. You've got the court access, you've got the courtside rooms and the sports therapy suites as well. So there's so much there. Could you tell us about how you used it on your course, Sophie?
Yeah, so it was really nice to have access to the actual courts, but also to the side they have sectioned off rooms where you'd have your lectures. So you'd turn up, you'd have all your theory stuff there, and literally then you just walk over and then you go and apply that to a practical situation. And I just really like that we had access to that. As you mentioned, the strength and conditioning suite, I had a few lectures in there to learn about like fitness testing and things like that. And yeah, everything's just really close. So like I lived in City campus, literally just had to walk over the river. If I was up on St John's campus, just had to walk down. Was really accessible.
I think it opened in my third year, in my final year, which I was sad about because the opportunity it opened was amazing. And it's also home to our professional sports teams, the 7-star Super League netball team and the Worcester Wolves basketball team as well. And you can go down and watch those as students. I don't know if either of you have been to watch, but it is a great evening out, and you get discounted tickets as students. And also the opportunities it opens up for students to participate with those sports teams. So for me, that was kind of the marketing side. I was able to do some match day social media with them. But I know our sports therapy students go along with the team. We've also got S&C coaches who are students that can work with the team. So actually it's quite cool. And I don't know about you, but in some of my lectures, actually we were doing a practical, and then you look over to the other court and the sports teams will be training, which was just kind of surreal. But and then also, were you a member of a sports society?
So I was a social member of Netball Society, and would go and do our training there. So just because I was a social member still meant that I could go and train with them if I wanted to, and it was really nice to be able to have access to that. And then they would have their games there on a Wednesday, so I'd go and support them as well. Just a really nice atmosphere as well when you go down there.
It is great. I also played netball, and it was brilliant to have the arena facility. I think we'd gone from kind of one sports hall all of a sudden to 3 courts, all the facilities, and I remember one week as well, England netball played there as well. So
that's cool.
I play on the same court, but yeah, that was quite a cool moment. But it's great to have those facilities so close by, and I think the arena started the development of the 7 campus. So we've got the Riverside building there, which has some teaching facilities, and we've got the arena, and it's right next to the river. It's really nice. But then also we have our new medical centre opening in the next couple of years, which is going to be situated right next to the river as well. So I don't know have you both seen the plans for the medical centre?
Yeah, no, it looks really good. I like the colour of the gold building.
Yeah, it is there in keeping with Worcester.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen, you can take a look on our social media as well, so you can see the plans for those buildings. But I believe that it's going to be right on the river. It's going to be as part of our 7 campus, and it'll be ready for our new courses starting soon. So we now join Debbie, one of our students, who takes us on a tour of our city campus.
Hi, I'm Debbie, and this is our city campus and home to Worcester Business School. This building used to be an infirmary dating back to 1771, but it's been modernised inside to be a great space to study and catch up with our friends. The city campus is a 20-minute walk from the St John's campus and about 10 minutes away from the Riverside campus, home to Worcester Arena. And we're only a few minutes away from the city centre. Here is the cafe at City Campus, where we hang out between lectures and watch the day's news. Downstairs there is a gym and wellbeing centre, and there's also a museum here about the history of the building. This is a typical learning space where business school students have seminars. The Jenny Lynn building is around the corner, which is another teaching facility at the city campus and is home to our School of Law, including a purpose-built courtroom. We have halls of residence at the St John's campus and at City campus. This is one of our ensuite extra flats at City, which is really handy for students who study on this campus or for those who want to be closer to the city centre. A couple of minutes walk from City campus is our award-winning library, the Hive. We have over 250,000 books here, as well as over 250 computers and access to printers, Wi-Fi and laptop points. The Hive offers an excellent space to study with some fantastic views of Worcester.
Now a bit of a surprise, I'm joined by both Amy and Debbie, who have just taken us on tours of the St John's campus and the City campus, but they're now here to talk to you about their personal experiences as well. So Debbie, perhaps if we go over to you first, if that's okay. So as a business student, you'll be studying on the City campus.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about your experiences studying at the City campus?
It's really good. It didn't come across on the video, but generally it's very busy down at City campus. Although we are primarily computing and business courses down there, we do get to see other students from other courses, so we get the physiotherapists coming in. I mean, we also get to talk to students because we're all on business courses together, so we get to talk to students who aren't just in my own year. So I've been sharing my experiences with my second years, about the different modules you can choose for your third year. It's really good atmosphere down there. It's quite busy. Being in where it is, we get people coming in for using the cafe facilities as well, so it's really good.
It's quite a nice vibe that, as the name suggests, it's right in the city centre, the City campus. It's lovely. So Amy, if we hop over to you now, so as a business student, what is it like studying on the City campus?
I can second everything that Debbie's just said there, and actually I loved my experience of studying on the City campus. Everything's within close distance, so it's really easy to get between campuses, so it didn't feel separate in that way. And actually having access to the city centre, having access to the train station just around the corner, that was really helpful for me in my third year, especially when I commuted and used that train service, so that was really handy. But actually having the ability to be in the city centre, and that brings opportunities to work with employers, that brings opportunities to work with loads of different people around the surrounding areas. And as a business student, that was really valuable for my time at Worcester.
So as you just said there, the City campus is actually home to the Worcester Business School as well. So what facilities are set up at the City campus for business students? Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. There's loads of different facilities, and actually that was something that I really enjoyed and valued as a student as well. It really set me up nicely to go into that business environment. So for example, you've got a boardroom that if you're having business meetings or mock business meetings, you can do that. There's areas that are set up primarily for you to go and practice your presentation skills and pitching skills if that's something that you're interested in doing. And actually all of the rooms, they're set up in a seminar style, which was collaboratively working together in small groups. It meant the lecturers could come round and speak to us individually, and we could really work together as small teams, and it was really valuable as a student to have those different experiences.
So the City campus is not just home to the Worcester Business School, there's lots of other facilities there as well. So we'll take a look now at our McClellan Centre, which is on the City campus. So you can see here state-of-the-art facility, gym facility, and there's lots that goes on here as well that, where we work with the community. So even though as a sports student, I was primarily based on the St John's campus with lots of the sports facilities, I actually had the opportunity to do a placement at the McClellan Centre, working with getting people active and running fitness testing. So it was really nice to go over and work there as well. But have either of you had any experiences with the McClellan Centre?
Yeah, I used it as a student more in my first year, and I do wish actually that I had used it a little bit more in my second year, but actually having those different facilities as part of the business school or as part of the City campus was really valuable, because I could use the gym after going to my lectures, and then I could maybe go into town and do a little bit of shopping or vice versa, and it was really good to have everything in that close distance to each other. But actually also seeing those different students, as Debbie's already spoke about, is really valuable. You really get to learn different courses, you get to speak to different students who may be doing placements, who can help you out in the gym. And actually in my first year, one of the physio students was helping us to create different exercise plans and rehabilitation plans for different people in different settings, and that was again really valuable for us as students, but also for them for those different learning experiences.
Yeah, you can see how so many students kind of apply their knowledge and their lectures and how they interact with all the different campuses. It's really nice. But I do really like the City campus. And I think earlier we mentioned the Jenny Lynn building as well, which is just down the road from the City campus. And that is home to the law school as well. So we'll take a look at the law courts now. And again, you both mentioned how important it is to have access to facilities on your course. And perhaps even more so for law students, to have this facility directly in the university building for them so they can get hands-on experiences is so important. And it does look great. I mean, have either of you been into the law courts? I think
I've had a little look. It's fascinating to go in there. I'd love to have a go, but yeah.
Do you have any experiences with the law courts, Amy, as well?
You can really see how valuable it is for students going in there, and actually just having the opportunity to go and visit it, you can see how valuable it is for students to get that real life practical experience that actually you might not necessarily think that you're going to get on a law course at a university. And it was very similar for business, for example. You might think, how can they replicate those environments? But actually I think the university do that really well, and it is really valuable to have those different facilities available.
It is great.
It's really realistic as well, because I've got experience of where I was a juror once, and then I look and I compare it, and it is really realistic.
Like for like. That's what I was going to say, is you kind of don't expect it to be there, and then it's fantastic. It's right there, and ideal for students. I suppose if we go back to talk about the city campus and Worcester City Centre as well, probably the landmark building in Worcester is our Hive library, and our award-winning library is fantastic. And we may be able to take a look now as we're talking, but could you tell me about your experiences studying at the Hive? Amy, perhaps if we go to you first, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Again, it's just a fantastic facility for students, and even though I have now finished my studies, I can still use that facility as a member of the public, and that was something that was really nice. You've got that mix between students and the public, and it gave that really nice community feel, but it had everything that you would need it to have as a student. It had spaces that you could go and do silent study if you wanted to, if you had something to focus on. You could hire out rooms to do group work as well, and there's a lot of meeting rooms at the Hive which are used for the public and for the university. But around busy times, around exam periods, they were primarily used for students. So as business students, we did a lot of presentations. So it was really nice to be able to get together as small groups to use those facilities and to really utilise that. And actually, if we were working on something as a group and you wanted to go and grab a book, you could just go and grab it and use it there. So it was a brilliant facility to have.
Debbie, I don't know if you feel the same about the Hive.
Yeah. I do. I really like the Hive, but also what you'll find is that your lecturer will send you a reading list, and on there will be the essential textbooks, and you don't need to go out and spend your money on buying them, because you go down to the Hive and there's like 8-10 copies of the same book, and you can just help yourself to it. And also read around your subject, because they'll then put non-essential reading, and it's all there in the Hive. You don't need to go out and spend lots of money on expensive textbooks.
They're not just books as well, there's so many resources. You can access so many different things. But yeah, you're right, I love the Hive as well. And as a sports student, I thought, I'm going to university to use all the sports facilities. I did not expect to be spending so much time as I did in the library, but it was fantastic that it was right there. It was right in the city centre. And the only thing I'm sad about is that it didn't open until my final year. So, but yeah, it's a fantastic facility. One of our more recent facilities to open as well is the Art House. Debbie actually took us around the Art House earlier this week, which we'll now take a look at.
This is the Art House, which is a newly renovated facility providing a home for students studying across a range of art-related courses. The Art House is about 15 minutes walk from the St John's campus and 5 minutes from the city centre. There are plenty of light and airy spaces to get creative here. We have so much room for students to work in the studio space. We also host lots of public exhibitions here, which is great for getting some inspiration. There is lots of student work on display all year round throughout the building, so it's a cool place to come and take a look at. The Art House has been designed with accessibility in mind and is a perfect home for the arts here at University of Worcester. Thanks for joining me for this campus tour.
So perhaps if we speak about some of your experiences of studying at Worcester, not particularly what you got up to in lectures, but how did you find it? So my first question for both of you is, as we've mentioned, all of our campuses are within walking distance. It's about a 20-minute walk, or actually depends how quick you are. You could time yourself and see. But Amy, how easy do you find it to get around Worcester as a place?
It's really easy to get around, and actually in my first year I lived within St John's, just off the St John's campus, and I continued to do so in my second year, even though a lot of my lectures were down at City Campus, and that was my base as a business student. And it's really easy to get around. As you say, it does depend on how quick you walk, but I could get down to the City Campus in about 15 minutes, and as we've already mentioned, that's sort of within the city centre itself, and the Hive Library is minutes away from there as well. So everything's really easy to get around, and there is great transport links as well. As I've said, obviously the train station is minutes away, and there are buses as well that run through the St John's campus and link with the city centre. So if, for example, I'd done some shopping after lectures and I didn't want to walk back, the bus was there and it would take me back to the St John's campus. So it's really easy to travel around.
You can get some quite good discounts on student travel as well, and train tickets and bus tickets as well through our First Point Centre. Now, Debbie, you're local to Worcester, aren't you?
So I live in Worcester.
How do you find travelling around Worcester?
So I've been using my bike, which is really good exercise for me to get to and fro from my lectures. And I've been able to get up to St John's, and then if I need to come back to City, I can ride my bike down the hill and into City Campus. And there's loads of places to leave your bike, it's all secure, and you just lock it up close to where you need to study.
And the uni does have options for you to rent bikes as well.
Yeah.
They have great schemes available, so it is really easy to get around. How do you find it as a cycle city as well? Because I think people get put off by cycling around city centres, but how do you find it?
I find that I use the route that goes along the river, so that is a share with care route between the bikes and pedestrians, so it's really easy to just go along the river up and down, and it's really safe. You don't come into contact with many cars.
It's a really nice route as well, I must admit.
It's beautiful.
It is lovely. So Amy, you travel a bit further afield to get to us in Worcester. So how did you find that? How did you travel, and you know, how did you find things when you got here?
Yeah, it was really easy to do. You know, the train station was something that I used a lot, and I used the train service, and there are really regular train services as well, so it was really easy to be able to manage my day with that. There were times that I drove into campus as well, and there's plenty of parking within the local area, but also there is parking at the university as well available for students, so that was really handy to know that there was those different options there. But as a student, everything is so close together that actually it was really easy, and I didn't find it stressful. I didn't have to travel from one side of a big city to another. Everything was in close distance, and actually it was really nice to have that experience.
Yeah, that is one nice thing about Worcester as well, is you've got great connections off the motorway for you to get into the city centre. You've got the train links, you've got the bus links, and then when you're there it's really easy to get around as well. So perhaps if we talk about the city a little bit more, Amy, could you tell us a bit about the social experience of Worcester? What can you get up to? What do you do on kind of like a day off?
Worcester for me had everything that I would want it to have, and that's something that's really important when you're looking around universities and making that decision. But actually for me it had, you know, it had everything. It had my favourite shops, it had all of the nice cafes and bars, and it had all of that social side of it. But actually within 15 minutes you could be in the Malvern Hills, and as a student that was really valuable as well. You could, on a summer's day, as a group of you, go and get some food and have a picnic and take that up the Malvern Hills and make a day out of it as well. And it just had everything, again, within that close vicinity. If you wanted to go a little bit further afield, you had that option as a student as well. You could hop on a train and go into the local bigger cities if you wanted to, but generally it had everything, you know, that I'd want it to have, and it gives you those different opportunities to socialise with people from your course or people who you live with, and it really gave you those different experiences.
So one of the things I probably was a little bit more worried about when I was going to uni is, would I fit in and would I make friends, or all those kind of things. So I was worried about making sure that the university was right for me, the right course, and you know, the right campus, those kind of things. And then as I got closer to attending university, I was like, oh no, will I fit in with everybody? But Debbie, could you tell us a little bit more about maybe moving into a different environment, and how did you find that, the transition into university and meeting new people?
So I was really nervous too. I came from working background and was going back into education. So I was really nervous about whether I'd be able to cope with that situation, but also I didn't know anybody and I was really worried about that. On the first week of when you started university, there was an induction programme and you were with other students, and most students didn't know anybody at all. So I walked into the room my first day. This girl looked up, she smiled at me. I sat next to her, and she's still one of my best friends now at university. And I found everybody so welcoming and friendly. Even the lecturers, they all appreciate that this is a new experience for you. And the induction week is designed to help you make friends.
That is a really good point, I think, in terms of everybody's in the same boat. And
Yeah.
I don't know about how you both feel about this, but it's hard to describe Worcester, I feel, until you're experiencing it. But you're right in that people always say there's a really friendly and everybody's smiling, there's a really nice vibe here. And Amy, how did you find settling into campus life?
I think, again, seconding what Debbie said, it's a difficult decision to make if you're going to move away or if you're going to go to university. And actually that was something as an 18-year-old that I was very nervous about, coming straight out of college, being in a college environment where we all came from the same place, so we all knew the local area exactly the same as each other. Coming into a new place where maybe I wasn't so familiar was something that I was worried about, but I settled in really well. Again, the induction programs are really good. The lecturers are always on hand, and they've got very much an open door policy. So, you know, if you've got a question or you've got something that you're concerned about, you've always got someone there who you can go and ask. Students are assigned a personal academic tutor, which was invaluable to me, and quite often on a Wednesday morning I'd go and have a cup of tea and a biscuit and just have a chat through everything, and that was, again, really helped that settling in process, and it just made everything feel at ease. And it didn't take me long at all before I actually felt part of a community, and I think that is something, as you've just said, it's really difficult to describe it, but I didn't feel just like a number. I felt like a valued person. I could walk down a corridor and know someone, and it was really valuable.
Yeah, I found that as well. I can second what Amy said. You want just a number of people stop and say hello to you. Even the lady who works on reception will say hello to all the students as they come in.
It is really nice. I mean, thank you both for joining me. That has been really insightful, and thank you to everybody that has joined us today for our broadcast. And hopefully that's given you an insight into our campuses, some of our specialist facilities, and of course what it's like to be a student at Worcester from some of our current students and recent graduates. So thank you for joining. We leave now with a video which is narrated by one of our recent graduates. We were recently nominated for University of the Year, so here's our video submission narrated by Casey Bailey.
Head just north to Worcester. Stop and stare at the cathedral. Let your ears be blessed by Alga, a composer with no equal. Where the Severn bursts her banks, stops to flex her force, the place I went to uni, the place that makes the greatest source.
If your actions don't match your words, you have nothing to say. I am a graduate from a university that has something to say. I am a graduate from a university that makes an impact on me, on our students, on society. I am a graduate from Worcester. A university that makes an impact for inclusion. a university that makes an impact for quality education.
I felt that they could offer me the best nurse training to make me the best nurse that I can be. So that's why I chose the University of Worcester.
Worcester Uni for me has been an amazing experience. I've had so much support, whether it be with assignments or just want to chat. I can go to any one of my lecturers and they're there to help me and support me.
I think children all over the world are the same, and they really deserve every bit of good education. If you give them good education, they can stand up for themselves, they will be empowered.
I hope that the future generation will strive for a better future than we have had in the 20th century.
I think when we hear directly or indirectly about the impact that the work that we're doing here has on people's lives, it's a tremendously emotional and often quite humbling experience as well.
A university that makes an impact for equality.
I hugely admire the work you've been doing here, because I think not only do you set an example, you ensure that young men and women moving forward into the workplace come so from the basis of equality being a given.
A university that makes an impact for liberty. A university that makes an impact for the environment.
I don't think I ever imagined that Worcester would take the lead in doing this across the world, but Worcester is taking the lead.
My name is Casey Bailey, and I am proud to be a graduate from a university that has something to say.